So I remember the first time I was shot in the head. There's too much out there. Take care of yourself. Be a better person yourself. Who sits in the White House doesn't matter to me nearly as much as who sits in that chair back there. Or who stands in front of the Oval Office doesn't matter nearly as much to me as who's standing up here in front of you. He's saying, what I refuse to face within myself. So what are the kinds of things that here I look for examples. What are the kinds of things that I would be afraid of or I would refuse to face within myself? And what are the things that we refuse to face? A lot of times those are things that we're embarrassed about. Maybe the thing that you're refusing to face is that you have fear. For some reason, we talk about people being afraid as a terrible thing, like it's something to be embarrassed about. Ha ha, you're afraid. Ha ha, you're afraid. Now, it isn't whether or not you're afraid. The question is, because everybody gets afraid. Everybody who's not a psychopath gets afraid of something. If you love, I remember one time someone gave me this word of wisdom. He was asking me like what I was afraid of. And I was like 16. I said, I can't think of anything. And he's like, about dying. I go, no, don't much mind it. Not worried about it. And genuinely. And he just goes, yeah, but if you're not afraid of anything, that means you must not love anything. Because having affection or having love for something brings out a fear of you because you don't want to lose the thing, but also you don't want to lose the thing for its own sake. In other words, if you love a person, you don't want to lose them because they're important to you. But also, you don't want to lose them because if you lose them, then that means that, like, for example, if they were to die, that means they've lost their own life. It's for their own sake as well. So it's double. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's a really fascinating point. And I don't know if anything ever put fear in me quite the same way as that statement. If you fear nothing, if you fear nothing, then you love nothing. And so it's okay to feel fear, even if it's your own life, because if you love your own life, and you should love your own life, you shouldn't want to lose it. If you have to lose it, there are better and worse ways to lose it, of course, but you shouldn't want to lose it. Even Socrates, who believed in this intellectual world, he believed that he was going back to it. He wasn't afraid to be executed, but notice how he dies at 71 years old. He wasn't in a rush to do it either. You know, the end will come eventually, but don't be in such a rush for things that are inevitable, things that are going to happen no matter what. They're going to happen no matter what. So what is it that I'm thinking of that we'd be afraid of? You know? But the question again, sorry, to finish that point, is not just that you're afraid. The question is, can you go forward anyway? I saw this interview with a guy who stormed Normandy during World War II, the beach at Normandy, when the Allies invaded Europe. If any of you guys saw the movie Saving Private Ryan, that very first scene, from what I understand, incredibly accurate representation of what those guys were going through as they were storming the beach. Just death all around, bullets coming out. You never even see them coming. You're just running. And all of a sudden, you could just be, boom, gone, just like that. Or you could get wounded, boom, just like that. You have your legs blown off, boom, just like that. And it's all blind. It isn't something like, you know, you're particularly highly skilled so you can avoid it. That's not the case. And so there was an interview with this guy. It was on like the 50th or 60th anniversary of the storming of Normandy, whatever it was. And they have all these guys who are like up on that beach. They're walking around. First time they've been there since then. And this dude, this reporter, journalist, whatever, runs over to him and puts a microphone on him and goes, "What's it like to be a hero?" Yeah, exactly. You don't ask that question. It's like if you ever talk to a cop, don't ever ask a cop, "Have you ever shot anybody?" Because if they have, they're probably traumatized by it. And if they're not, you probably don't want to talk to them. Yeah, don't ever ask a soldier who's like lost a bunch of their friends, a bunch of their buddies in battle, who have survivor's guilt. Because what's the difference between you dead and that person dead? I was talking to a friend of mine who goes through this because he served in Afghanistan, and he heard a bullet go past him. And if you've ever had a bullet go past you, it's creepy as all hell. I've had it. It's like it cuts through the air, and you can feel the air actually as it zips by. And it went right past his ear. He felt the wind actually on his ear, and he turns, and his buddy was hit in the head. Yeah, if he had just been like this, it's him who's dead, not his friend. But because he's like this, he's alive. Why is he like this? He just is. You know, something catches his attention, maybe, whatever. But it's just that one thing. So they ask him, like, what's it like to be, how does it feel to be a hero? And he says, I wasn't a hero. I was just a coward who kept moving forward. And that's what it is about fear. Everybody who's rational and everybody who's thoughtful, everybody who loves something in the world is going to feel fear about something. The question is, do you go forward anyway? You know, and you find this even in relationships, people will say things like, I don't know, I'm afraid because like, I don't know, like I'm feeling things I never felt before. I'm actually afraid of this. Yeah, but are you going to be a coward who goes forward anyway? Because all of the great things of your life are probably going to be on the other side of comfort, on the other side of fear, not with where you are right now. Yeah. So I remember the first time I was shot in the head. Of course, but wouldn't you?
No.
So you had these, so look at this, you had two options during the election, okay? You had a guy who got shot and is bleeding, blood on his face, gets up and yells, fight, 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 and you get this iconic picture. And then you have a guy who trips going up the stairs to Air Force One.
I want the guy who trips.
You tell me you want the guy who trips. The guy, you don't want the guy who exudes strength and composure, whether you like the guy or not. Yeah, whether you like the guy or not, man. Come on, man. That's damn good strength and composure under fire to be shot at. There's another, yeah, and there's a video, there's another one of like other politicians, who was it? I think was it Biden? Where they kind of ushered him off stage, and he's like panicking. It wasn't a gunshot, it was like a backfire or something like that. But this dude jumps up, and this guy's, and you know, Trump's like 6'4". Yeah, so he's like towering over his Secret Service agents. Their job is to get up and to stand around him and block any more gunfire. He has no idea what's going on. That shooter could still be shooting. There's someone dead behind me. He gets up and raises a fist and yells, "Fight, fight, fight!" Come on. Even if you look at that and you're like, whatever. Yeah, you've got derangement syndrome, man. You don't have to like the guy to just sit there and go, "Fuck, dude, what a great picture." Fuck, dude, what leadership under fire. If you could look at that and then turn to the guy who trips upwards, as they described it, and go, yeah, they're about the same. About the same thing. There's something wrong with you.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you have an inability to see the world objectively. I will say this, since we're near the end of the year, I didn't vote for either. I don't like either of them, man. I mean, come on, you sat there and said, we're the most powerful country in the history of the world. At its zenith, the most powerful militarily, economically, culturally, in every way. The U.S. is the most dominant country to ever exist on the planet. We don't like the food. Well, shut up. You know what I'm talking about. In every other indicator, that we are the best that's ever existed. And our choices are Trump and Harris. Harris, who gets her start in politics by sleeping with the mayor of New York, and we're not supposed to talk about that, but we should talk about that. And then you've got Trump, and those are our choices. I didn't vote for either of them. I voted for Cornel West. Exactly. Somebody like, who the hell is Cornel West? Cornel West is a philosopher. He's a philosopher who marries Latinas and got fired from two of his university positions, and he resigned from Harvard in protest. Like, fuck Harvard, I don't need Harvard. You tell me I'm not going to vote for that guy. And the guy loves Aristotle and Socrates. You know. And then the guy, he's got some questionable things, like, he's not super big on. Well, one of the things I love about the guy, remember the thing about Charlottesville, the neo-Nazis who were marching?
Yeah.
Cornel West was there marching with them. Why? Because he looks at me, he says, you hear him talk about it, he just says, these are my sick white brothers. But there's something about the guy, he's going to go, yeah, they're sick. He goes, no, there's some sickness in their soul. We got to cure it, man. He's not like some hippy-dippy guy either. He's willing to throw hands. He's done it. But he just sits there and he says, like, people who have those kinds of wretched views, those kinds of ugly views, they're sick. The same way that, like, it's in the spirit of Socrates. Socrates says that these are illnesses that have to be cured. And you just go, this guy's a philosopher, like a real one. This guy lives by it. And so I'm proud to say that along with my vote here in California, I think he got like 0.25% of the vote in the country. He'll come back next year, watch, if he's still alive, he's like in his 70s, but yeah. Cornel West, man, that guy's a firebrand, dude. I don't agree with a lot of what the guy says, but here's the thing. He means it. That guy means it. When you guys listen to Harris, do any of you guys think Harris meant what she said?
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Exactly. How dare you say Merry Christmas? Like video after video after video of her, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Maybe you guys sit there and look at Gavin Newsom, who's going to run in the next election and just might win. He's the governor of California, who shuts down all of California during the pandemic.
President?
Yeah, he'll run for president. He'll win too.
That's interesting.
He'll win too. Because he shuts down all of California, but he keeps his own businesses open. He gives them exemptions. He's photographed at parties during all the lockdowns with all of his friends partying with no masks, no distance, no nothing. And yet, we may have had, I'm thinking of a friend of mine, by the way, whose son died in the ICU from nothing related to COVID, but he had to wait to bury his son because we weren't allowed to have funerals during that time. He couldn't be there when his son died because we weren't allowed to be in the ICU. And yet, now Gavin Newsom can party with no mask with all of his friends and everything's totally cool. And we see that and we're just like, And then we say, Black Lives Matter. We have to elevate black voices, more black voices. And then Gavin Newsom, the whitest of the white, motherfucker's whiter than me, quite literally actually, by the way. And he runs against a black man, Larry Elder, who grew up in South Central. His father was a custodian. His mother was a homemaker. And he's entirely self-made. Went through Cornell, became a lawyer. The guy's made millions of dollars. Entirely self-made black man. And then we're told to elevate black voices, and then we have an election, and we still vote for the rich white dude. Do we really mean what we say? You can understand why I like Cornel West so much. Because this is the guy, whether you agree with him or not, 100%, he means what he says. He's serious about it. He means it. And there's something authentic about it. And I was talking with the English department about it, and I was saying, what is it that we're seeking in life? Everything around us is artificial. Our food is fake. Our reality shows aren't real. The opinions that people espouse, they're not real. Our politicians say things, we don't even pretend to think that they're serious anymore. We're gonna see the reports about Joe Biden falling up the stairs. Really, falling upstairs. I just saw something recently about a guy who is trying to avoid the deportation under Trump, who is convicted of non-consensual sex. There's a word for that, isn't there? One word? It's called rape. Why aren't you called him what he is? He's a rapist. Well, because we have to come up with artificial terms to defend our artificial positions that we don't actually believe because we don't believe the truth exists anymore. And then you have a guy like Cornel West who comes along. You don't think I'm gonna vote for the guy who is actually authentic and real and genuine at least? Well, let me vote for Gavin Newsom who cleans up San Francisco because the president of China shows up. And he says, I know people are saying you're only doing this because important people are showing up. Yes, it's true. And he thought people were going to laugh at that at the press conference. No one laughed. And he thought, oh shit, because it's true. He won't clean up the city for the people, but he'll clean it up for foreign dignitaries. Who do you think his boss is? The people who live there or the person who's visiting? Who do you think he sees as being his boss? And we'll see this, and we'll just shrug our shoulders and go, Authentics, man. Authenticity. I can't even say the word anymore. It's how long it's been since I've heard it. No, it makes me sad every day. Not sad, but I sit there every day and marvel and just go, Trump's president, huh? And I look, I go, could have been Harris? Somebody else? Anybody else, please? Somebody real? Somebody authentic? Somebody who means it? No. But this is the issue, because the truth is really things don't get better to Democrats. You remember the whole Great Depression thing? Remember the whole housing crisis thing? Remember the whole recession thing? Yeah, these are all their Democratic presidencies. Yeah, is it better or worse? I don't know, would you rather get punched in your left eye or your right eye? So here's the problem. We talked about having a third party. Here's a good question. Anybody know who Ross Perot was? See, that's really important. It wasn't that long ago, man. Back in '92, you had George Bush Sr. running against Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton wins the presidency. People point to it and go, oh, because of Bush. No, there was a third party running, Ross Perot. Ross Perot got over 18% of the vote. That's not, I mean, as a first-time candidate for a third party, there had never been one vote in at least the U.S. history. And this guy manages to show up and get 18% of the vote. That's phenomenal. And that's what actually takes the election away from George Bush Sr. and gives it to Bill Clinton. Changes the course of the country, and therefore changes the course of the world. But we're convinced, we've been convinced into believing no third party can win. If Perot's party had kept going, there's no doubt it'd be a third party right now. Maybe we've overtaken one of the other ones. We'd look at it and go, oh, but Clinton's campaign was strong, Clinton was this, Clinton was that. It had nothing, no, it wasn't Clinton. Clinton talked about his underwear and played the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. Both of those two things are true. And you think that we think that the country was like, all right, let's go, gung-ho behind him? It's like we talk about Kennedy. Oh my God, Kennedy was such a popular president. No, he wasn't. Look at the polling from his time. He wasn't. The dude won the election because the mob put the fix in for him. We know this now. The mob fixed the election. And that's one of the reasons they're so pissed at him. And afterwards, he goes after the mob. That's not, by the way, that's not conspiracy theory stuff. That's like widely acknowledged now. We kind of know that there was incredible voter fraud. That's what got Kennedy elected. And while he was president, his approval ratings were not high. There's a good chance he would not have won re-election if he hadn't been killed. But death makes angels of us all. We look back on it now and go, oh, such hope and promise for the future. He was a president who served for 3 years and didn't do much except for promise to disband the CIA. And, by the way, expand the war in Vietnam. I thought we were against the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, that was Kennedy. I'm not saying he was good or bad. All I'm saying is this is all true. But the problem is when you talk like this, people go, so you're a Republican. No, I'm not. I'm actually registered as an independent. I've only ever voted for, I've never voted for a Democrat before, and I have voted for 2 Republicans before. One of them was Larry Elder when he ran for governor, which, as I just talked about, and Tom McClintock when it was either him or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those are the calls. And people just said, you know what? I really like Terminator. I think Schwarzenegger would be a good governor. Really? He has no political experience, but you like his movies. He was Conan, right? Oh, fuck it, yeah. That's our governor right there. Like, come on, man. That's our criteria. When I talked about this stuff earlier about Trump, so people are like, oh, so you're a Trump supporter. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. But I'm also not a Harris supporter either. And I don't see how anybody of integrity can look at both of those candidates and support either one. It's fine, you should. Well, no, by the way, I mean that. A lot of what we're saying right now, me and Ruben, most of you should probably be tuned out right now and not give a shit. I really mean that. Like, what? Really? I'm going to motivate anybody who's trying to rally you up to be activists right now and motivate you to be activists and push you to be activists. They're doing it for their own purposes. Yeah, they don't give a shit about you. They want you out there to support their policies. They want you to be an activist as long as you support their policies. So right now, if you guys are completely tuned out by this politics talk, I would be too. I didn't give a shit about politics until like my last quarter in college as undergraduate, because there are way more important things in your life right now than what's happening in Israel and Palestine. Like, what kind of tux are you gonna get for prom? Tux or a suit? What color is your dress gonna be? That shit's way more important. Anyway, I'm not being sarcastic. I really mean that. That shit's way more important than what's happening right now over in Kurdistan. Because the problem is you can get so wrapped up in that stuff that you're so broadly minded that you forget about your own life. And how do you make the world better? Is it by changing the color of my profile picture to show whether I support Israel or Palestine? Or do I make the world better by being a better person myself? So you're gonna close your eyes to the suffering? Yes. Yeah. Because you have to worry about your own first. Once you take care of yourself and you've got some left over, well then yeah. It doesn't mean you can't have an opinion about it, especially if it's principally based, but my God, to encourage people to go out there and give up their lives to protest and to get angry and to, every second you waste being angry is a second you waste of your life. And again, if you feel strongly about those things, more power to you, man, you should. And all I mean by you should is, what I mean by that is you should because you want to. That's all. But if you don't give a shit about that stuff, don't feel bad about it. I have so many friends who say things like that. Like, if you don't care about the suffering going on right now in, Sudan, then you just don't care about humanity. Oh, shut up. It's so stupid. I usually ask people, like, do you believe that? Do you really believe that? Of course they don't. Because then if you just go on Google and look for suffering that's going on in some back corner of the world somewhere and go, well, if you don't care about if you may say you care about Sudan, but if you don't care about what's going on in Rhodesia, don't tell me you care about humanity. There's too much out there. Take care of yourself. Be a better person yourself. Who sits in the White House doesn't matter to me nearly as much as who sits in that chair back there. Or who stands in front of the Oval Office doesn't matter nearly as much to me as who's standing up here in front of you. We got through the first few words. But I don't want to jam it up. I'm going to try again next period. In short, here's how you can understand this quote. I'm not afraid, you're afraid. I'm not crying, you're crying. Questions?